What's all this about? Why have I been called up again? Don't you realize that it's dinner time for little baby Aido? When my son's belly is empty, he's fierce than a pack of wolves. Exploited by the police we were, like miserable dogs, forced to bear false witness. And when cast from this courtroom myself, I became a ruined man in a trice, a worthless withered antique. Nothing more have I to say. The sun has set on this merchandise shop's owner's existence. Be that as it may, Kurikuta-san, something has come to light that requires your clarification. As far as your Rasputin memory serves, have you... Wow! Yes, that's it! The one! The very one! The very exact one, that is! The resplendent, splendiferous, Hoey treasure that my rusty bones managed to misplace that fateful day. It can't be. As I thought. Young man! Enlighten this decrepit old fool. Put me out of my misery. Where was my treasure? Where was it dropped? Oh, I'm not sure if it was dropped anywhere. We found your coin sandwiched between a beef steak and its plate, soaking in the seasoned meat juices. You know, I don't think that's good for the preservation of the coin. Then again, if it's pure gold, I think that wouldn't affect it, considering, well, gold. Sandwiched? Soaking? Seriously? Clearly, it couldn't have fallen there by accident, which means somebody must have hidden it there on purpose. Somebody concealed my Hoey treasure between a slab of meat and a metal plate. Who would do such a thing? Such an unconscionable thing? Excuse me? Could I say something? Yes, of course. Proceed, Inspector Hosonaga. I mentioned this earlier in the trial, but I was working undercover in the restaurant in order to investigate another case. Ah yes, that's right, the secret undercover operation. The Carnival is a high-class Western cuisine restaurant. It attracts wealthy diners, including many foreigners. Recently, there's been a run of similarly executed thefts targeting the restaurant's rich clientele. A number of such incidents have been reported to the police bureau. Wicked crimes indeed. We wanted to nip the case in the bud quickly, especially with so many foreigners being affected. So that's why you were sent there undercover, is it? Yes. I took on the job of waiter at the restaurant in order to flush out the criminal. It seems likely that this Koban incident is the work of the same thief. So unbeknownst to us, there was a master thief at work in the restaurant on a regular basis. The place was already the scene of several crimes, it seems. I don't know about the master thief part, but the identity of the person who stole and hid Kurikuta-san's Koban is all too clear. What? What? I think the court would like to hear the defense's view on this matter. Tell us, who is the despicable scoundrel that stole Kurikuta-san's Koban and hid it under the steak?
Take that!
Obviously, it can only be you! Sergeant Iestanosa! What? How? How dare you? You monster! Monster? I stole that Koban, did I? I'm the master thief of La Carnival, am I? You're seriously accusing me of these crimes, cadet? But it wasn't me. It was Aido! Aido is the mastermind behind all this! You would push the blame for your crimes onto your own son, an innocent little baby. It's you who's the monster, Sergeant Nosa! Clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop, clippity clop! Yeah! Nepal Imperial Army Sergeant Yesanosa preparing to stand down in the Supreme Court, sir! Do any of you know of the extraordinary low wages the Nippon Imperial Army pays those it expects to keep our country safe? I understand that the temporary increase in taxation owing to the recently ended conflicts remains in place. And I have heard... Ooh, is this after the Sino-Japanese War? And I have heard that it's hard for lower-ranking soldiers to make a living, yes. All I want is to put a hot plate... All I want is to put a hot meal on the table for my son. That's why you were stealing things at the restaurant. The place is heaving with money. Every 3 days I'd go there and do reconnaissance for a target. And I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak at the same time. It sounds like he doesn't bother with a knife and fork even, which is worryingly believable. And your target that day was the old man and his koban. Yes, sir. He was an easy mark. I slipped a coin into my pocket without any trouble at all. A veritable phantom thief you are. I was all set to leave the stake. I was halfway through devouring when it happened. Bang! Yes, when the professor was shot. I knew that if the police conducted the search and found the coin in my pocket, I'd be finished. Aido too. So I hid the incriminating evidence as fast as I could, on the double. I slipped it under the stake, hoping that I'd be able to rendezvous with it again at a later date. This is ridiculous! Perhaps you could carry on with this absurd prattling in your own time? Well, Miss Brett. Oh, of course, dear lady, of course! How rude of us! I'm quite sure there's no need to detain you any longer at all! May the esteemed gentleman please be excused, Your Excellency! Indeed. The thief of the koban was clearly perpetrated by this baby-saddled sergeant. It would certainly appear to be unrelated to Dr. Wilson's murder. Of course it is. Hiding a coin under a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. Nonsense, is it? And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Very well. Now that all questions concerning this witness's testimony have been answered, I see no further justification for detaining her. Miss Brett, you are free to leave. Thank you, Your Excellency. Good luck, everyone. And good day. Yosuke, what's the matter with you? This is no time for daydreaming. Oh, no, it's just... something about Miss Brett's parting words there got me thinking. I can't quite work out what exactly, but something she said jarred with me. I feel like there was a contradiction in there somewhere. Something didn't quite add up. If that's the case, don't just stand there thinking. Make your voice heard. Sorry? You can think later, but if you don't call out now, it'll be too late. The trial will be over.
Hold it!
Wait, Miss Brett! What is it now? I'm afraid, just one last time, there's something I'd like to ask you. I'd like you to explain the contradiction in your parting words from just a few moments ago. What are you talking about? What contradiction?
Objection!
What new student nonsense is this? Well, what parting words are you talking about, Ryunosuke? Hiding a coin or a lump of meat. The sheer nonsense of such an idea astounds me. And as for picking up your steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork, it's beyond nonsense, it's pure madness. Yes, I'm right. What she said there exposed an undeniable contradiction. I'm going to need to see evidence, counsel. If Miss Brett's words truly are contradictory, where is the evidence to prove it?
Take that!
The photographic print of the scene taken immediately after the incident occurred. What's interesting is the plate of steak that you can see on the victim's table. The steak that Miss Brett had been eating before the professor was killed. Yes, go on. More accurately, Your Excellency, the steak that was on the victim's table just before the professor was killed. Now you're splitting hairs. Not true. Doesn't something about this steak strike you as very unnatural? Unnatural? What on earth do you mean? It's extremely obvious. I'm talking about the shape of the edge where it's been eaten. I see you've noticed it too, Miss Brett. Noticed what exactly, counsel? Just a few moments ago, Miss Brett claimed no Englishman could ever contemplate picking up a steak and biting into it without using a knife and fork. Of course she did. She's the refined English gentlewoman herself. Then take a good look at this steak, in particular the edge where it's been eaten. As you can see, there are clearly defined barbaric teeth marks there. Ah! It looks like Miss Brett realized something. So, if the witness, as she claims, wouldn't contemplate eating without using a knife and fork, there shouldn't be teeth marks in the steak at all!
Objection!
What is your actual point? Perhaps the delightful Miss Brett was ravenous... whatever you say, dear lady. As I said, I really must be leaving now. Afternoon tea with the Minister of Justice cannot possibly wait any longer. Of course, this will all be over in the blink of an eye. Rest assured, I'm about to put this rookie in his place. I've heard enough. You irritating little spectacled samurai relic! Of course, dear lady. What's the matter, Miss Brett? Have we ruffled your feathers? Clearly, the witness knows what this means. She realized the catastrophic implications these teeth marks in the steak have for her. Ryunosuke, do you know where you're going with this? Yes. Now at last, it's all come together. Mysterious teeth marks in a steak that had allegedly been eaten with cutlery. The reason why the bloodstain I know was somehow seemed to have disappeared. And most importantly, the evidence that proves once and for all who shot Dr. Wilson that day. I accept that these teeth marks in the steak are a little unnatural, as you put it, counsel. But what exactly are you suggesting that tells us? Everything, Your Excellency. Everything? Yes, I believe that these barbaric teeth marks in the stake here amount to conclusive evidence in this case. Evidence that will prove beyond any doubt who shot Dr. Wilson. Conclusive evidence? How many times have I heard that today? You wouldn't know the meaning of the phrase, typical Japanese empty threats. How can you be so sure? Oh, it's quite simple. If you really had such conclusive evidence, you would have presented it to the court long ago. Actually, the evidence I'm talking about hasn't been brought before the court yet. Hasn't been... What? But just because it hasn't been shown yet, doesn't mean that the evidence doesn't exist.
Objection!
This is absurd. The trial has run several hours already, and you say there's evidence yet to be brought forward? That can't be. I don't believe you have it.
Objection!
I don't, but there is someone who does have it. Someone in this very courtroom. And if that person is willing to submit the piece of evidence I'm referring to, it will solve every remaining mystery about this case. Very well. I have a feeling this will be my last request of the defense in this trial. How many times have we said that already? Who possesses the conclusive evidence that will reveal the truth about the whole affair?
Take that!
The answer is obvious. It's Inspector Hosonaga. What? I have it? Yes. You think I'd be withholding conclusive evidence? That's ridiculous. No, I'm not saying that. Everyone's attention has been focused on this stake with the teeth marks. Yes. Now, earlier this afternoon, Sergeant Nosa told the court the following. I'd enjoy chomping my way through a good steak. And as well as admitting to stealing the Korakuta-san's coin, he told us that he slipped it under the steak. Watch it, cadet. I'm a superior officer. Sergeant Nosa, could you please confirm something for me? Was the steak that you put the coin under, in fact, your own steak? Sergeant! Affirmative, of course. I might be a soldier in the Imperial Nippon Army, but still. I'm not brave enough to ask a foreign gentle lady if she'd mind me manhandling her meal to hide something in it. In other words, the steak that the detective submitted as evidence earlier was in fact Sergeant Nosa's meal.
Objection!
But that makes no sense. That plate was taken from the victim's table.
Objection!
Yet the gentlewoman doesn't take bites out of her steak, nor did she have any opportunity to steal the coin. Of course I didn't steal it. To even suggest such a thing would be an affront to the entire British Empire. Well then, how do you explain this paradox? Exactly. Surely you're not going to suggest that the sergeant switched the two steaks over. You did switch the plates. Well, after it happened, the, bang! When I saw the civilian had been murdered right in front of my eyes like that, I panicked. As I said, I immediately lifted my steak and hid the coin underneath it. But then when the waiter announced he was an undercover policeman, I thought I'd had it. If he decided to investigate my slab of meat, that'd be it. I'd be getting my marching orders. So when the cadet here was arrested and taken off to the kitchen, I seized my chance. With military precision and timing, I switched my steak with the one on the foreign lady's table. What? You can't have. I never saw you do such a thing. It was called Operation Lightning Bolt. There was no time for strategic planning. It was do or die, I tell you. So yes, I did what had to be done. Unbelievable! However, fear not, Prosecutor-san. What now? I swear on the brass buttons of my uniform, that is all I did, sir. All you did? That's plenty, Sergeant.
Yes!
So, if Sergeant Nosa switched the plates over, it means he took Miss Brett's steak and the plate it was on back to his own table. Yes, that follows. Inspector Hosanaga? Yes? Early in this trial, you told the court this. You said that you had not only taken Miss Brett's steak after the incident, but also the sergeant's. That to preserve evidence, you had taken both. That's correct. Then please present it to the court now. The plate that was actually on the victim's table at the precise moment he was shot!
Shut up!
What can that possibly tell us now? I mean, a cold slab of tough meat, it can't have the slightest bearing on the case.
Objection!
No, you're not wriggling your way out of it this time. I beg your pardon? Surely you're not that forgetful. Surely you remember the reason why this steak pan promises to prove such a problem for you, no? You're the ones who decided it was a problem, not me. The reason the defense asked to see the plate was to confirm something the defendant remembers seeing. Thinks he remembers. I'm quite sure of what I saw, Miss Brett. On the side of the plate that was on the table directly behind Dr. Wilson, there was a clear splattering of blood from the gunshot wound to the victim's chest. I believe the defendant's memory served him well. And now we have the evidence to prove it. The plate you were eating from, Miss Brett. Let us not prolong this any further. Inspector, you will show the evidence to the court. Present the beefsteak and the plate that was originally on the victim's table at the time of the incident. Yes, sir!